And we move right into our TCR TCA class race that's coming up next. As you're joining us here at world-challenge.com and online on the Pirelli World Challenge fan app, or if you're listening live on Sirius XM channel 363 or 383 or 983 on the Sirius XM app. We want to welcome everybody to Sirius XM and all of our listeners there. My name is Jeff Lepper. I'm here with Calvin Fish. We'll have Gino Carini down on pit lane. Want to give a huge thank you to Ryan Marine, who was down on pit lane for our GT Sprint X competition. We'll see him back again during GTS. But TCR, TCA, the time is coming up, Calvin, and this new introduction of the TCR giving their own category and class within Pirelli World Challenge has really opened up the door to a lot of different manufacturers, drivers, and teams.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We got off to a great start to this championship class at Circuit of the Americas. Hyundai swept both race wins there, with Michael Lewis taking day one and his teammate Mark Wilkins with the Brian Hoyt Autosport. Hyundai's winning there, but there's been some balanced performance changes. They essentially ran with the 2017 BOP at this opening round of the championship. That's now been switched over to the 2018. I think what it's done is really tightened this field and brought a lot more of the manufacturers into play. And
that was sort of the way they did the balanced performance test. They had a lot of problems there with snow when they were trying to do that test, and they weren't able to get that data to be able to make those changes here. And talk about the guy on the pole, Ryan Eversley, in that real-time Honda Civic TCR, had an incident in that qualifying session, but still put it on P1.
Yeah, he sailed off in turn one. There's major damage, and you'll see it because they don't have all of the spare parts to make it pristine again for the race here today, so it's going to be a duct tape issue for Ryan Eversley, but he got back on track and laid down pole position, so he's happy.
Well, let's get this thing underway. Let's get down to Gino Carini for our command to start engines.
On behalf of Pirelli North America and the Pirelli World Challenge, here to give the most famous words in motorsports, Eric Thomas, head of experimental marketing for Hyundai North America.
Drivers, start your engines.
That's a cool feeling to be able to do that and get all those engines fired up. As you see, Ryan Eversley, JT Kupal starting on the outside of row number one. Great run for him in that new Compass 360
That was really
racing.
cool. I had a chat with this young 17-year-old just this morning and chatted about his history. He said, I've run here before in laid-down go-karts. He said, that's a slightly different perspective behind the wheel of one of these TCR cars. But he was the guy that Eversley was trying to make a move on this morning in qualifying when Ryan sailed it off there. So they were running close together in qualifying. They got the same thing here at the start of the race. And for Hyundai, their leading light is Mark Wilkins, who leads this championship. He lines up third. Brian Hoyt Autosport made a strategy call to send the cars out late. Then we got a red flag. So Michael Lewis will be basically riding shotgun on this field for the TCR group, as he did not get representative lap time. So they got Wilkins in third position and Michael Lewis at the very back of this pack.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see if Michael Lewis can work his way through this 14-car TCR field. Going back to our TCA category, they'll start just behind the TCR class, but Tom O'Gorman able to get the pole in his Honda Civic Si. Good run for him. Kind of was back in the top 5 in all the practice sessions, and then steps it up for qualifying. Eric Powell, who led some of the earlier sessions in his Tech Sport Racing Subaru BRZ, he'll start on the outside of row number 1. He's got a couple Mazda MX-5 Cup cars behind him with Kenny Morello and Brian Ortiz, who's leading the Mazda MX-5 Global Cup Points Championship right now. And his Mazda, he starts in the 4th place. So it's going to be fun to see these guys and gals work their way through the fields as it plays out for our TCR TCA race. It will be a rolling start here today. 40-minute race for these cars. Tomorrow, all these cars will line up on that front stretch for a standing start.
Yeah, and Travis Wachet had actually qualified second in TCA, but there was something that happened. He got demoted 3 spots for something that happened during the qualifying session, so he'll line up 5th, but with a very fast race car and could be making some moves early.
See some of the background festivities going on here at Virginia International Raceway. Saw the blow-up bounce houses over there. A lot of great things happening here at the facility for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Virginia, presented by Audi Sport. Want to give a huge thank you to Audi Sport providing our pace car here today, the Audi RS5, and of course our medical vehicle, the Audi Q7. So our medical staff able to follow behind the field here and make sure they're on the scene if there is a first lap incident. That beautiful Alpha Giulietta Martin Jensen starts in the 5th place. And he had a great run at Coda, did some more development on that car. And I think that car is going to be sort of the benefactor with this whole balanced performance thing going on right now.
Yeah, it should be a little closer. I'm struggling to get my head around it. You talk to different teams and everyone has a different perspective in terms of the pros and cons with the adjustments since the last round of the championship. But certainly qualifying up towards the sharp end at a very strong car at Circuit of the Americas. Unfortunately, Ryan Eversley got a penalty for it with a little bit of contact in the early going that broke the rear suspension on the Alpha. But Martin's a fine young driver, hails from Denmark, and he's going to be really on pace here this weekend, you would feel. I say young, but he's not fussy. It's when I first met him.
Well, Adam Mirzon steps into Pirelli World Challenge TCR competition in the second of the Honda Civic TCR cars as well. Two of the drivers that are doing double duty here this weekend, as we'll see them in our GTS Sprint X competition, racing the Audi R8 with Flying Lizard Motorsports. As cars are starting to line up, it will be a split start. The TCR cars will start. The TCA guys will start right behind them as one final shot to warm up your Pirelli P0 tires.
Big day for Honda as they took the, there's a global championship running identical cars. They took a 1-2 finish in Hungary earlier today. So lining up on the pole here with factory driver Ryan Eversley, see if they can repeat, but they're going to have a lot of pressure from behind. You'd have to feel that Wilkins will be strong, and that Brian Herder Autosport Hyundai, our championship leader, lines up third.
Going back to the Volkswagen GTI, Mason Felipe, the best of those cars, qualifying in 6th from Winding Road Racing. So as they come down here out of turn number 17 onto the front stretch, waiting for that Pirelli, the acceleration zone, getting the green flag. Who's it going to be down to the green? Ryan Eversley, JT Kupal, the youngster, versus the, well, used to be a youngster, but Ryan Eversley here. As I think JT might have the advantage, but boy, look at the power of that Civic out to the inside.
Yeah, a lot of experience there on the outside there as Eversley takes the lead. Wilkins tries to go with him. JT Kupali's locked up already early. A little bit of a braking issue there for our front row sitter. The Compass Racing car there, the Audi, just trying to struggle there and come to grips. So it's Eversley from the start here, hounded by Wilkins. Daniel looks like he's had a nice start.
He did. That Racing Company Audi into 3rd place. Jensen, now Mason Felipe to the inside of JT Kupal as they come down to the inside, and it looks like Mason Felipe is going to pick up another spot in that Volkswagen.
Yeah, JT Kupal is really struggling to get into a rhythm here and haven't had the little lock up there down into turn 1. So Eversley from Wilkins, from Daniel.
These cars are now not allowed to run ABS. They do have ABS, but they deactivate it per the international rules. Anything over an hour, I believe, is considered an endurance race. Only 40 minutes here, so when it's an endurance race, you're allowed to run the ABS. Sprint race, you are not.
Look at Eversley. He's certainly gabbed Wilkins here early in this lap, so a lot of pace there in our pole-sitting car. Kind of patched up. I spoke to P.D. Cunningham, who obviously has the real-time organization. He said it's not pretty, but it's fast.
Have to be pretty to be fast. And you see Anthony Gerasi working his way through the field. Matthew Fosnot, another one of those drivers doing double duty. He started up in that 8th position. He's worked his way up a position into 7th. And Jared Andretti, son of John Andretti, doing a good job in his military to motorsports Volkswagen.
Yeah, having a much stronger weekend here than he had at Coda as they're just going through the growing pains with the new program. So Martin Jensen here is under pressure there for that 4th position, the bright red Alpha. See Wilkins there in the Hyundai championship leader, chasing after Eversley as they come down to finish the first lap.
And Martin Jensen drops a couple of wheels off on the exit there of roller coaster. He's going to lose 4 or 5 positions, trying to see if he can recover coming down the straightaway.
Well, he just got enveloped there by the pack right behind him.
Going back to our TCA leaders, it's Tom O'Gorman, a huge lead over Kenny Morello, Brian Ortiz. Here comes Eric Powell to the inside of Ortiz for that podium spot. So not sure what happened on the start there. As looks like Eric Powell starting in 2nd got shuffled all the way back to 4th place. You see that Honda Civic there is making his debut in Pirelli World Challenge. Skip Woody, as that is Shea Holbrook's car she campaigned last season. So good to have at least the car back racing again. We do miss Shea though. She's moved on to different race series, but hopefully she'll make some guest appearances here in Pirelli World Challenge competition.
You see everyone kicking up the dust there as they run through the snake. Looks like Wilkins has got a little bit closer to Eversley. Eversley has the fastest race lap right now at a 2:02.3, but that will certainly be a handful of seconds coming off that lap time by the end of this race.
Saw that Liquid Molly FCP Euro Volkswagen, Michael Herzen back there as well. If you have a Euro car and you're looking for a part, I don't think you should buy it from anybody else other than FCP Euro. Lifetime warranty on all their parts. A pretty cool deal.
That is really
so
cool.
They're talking over there. It's like, wait, it's like I said, why would you buy them anywhere else when you get a lifetime warranty?
They told me about it the first time. I said, what? And they said, yep, that's the deal. I said, man, why would you go anywhere else?
That's a good commercial for them, I guess, right? They paid us for that, so we'll get our free part. So we need, Michael, we need to give us a code, right?
Yeah, I was a bit late. I just bought some stuff for one of my personal vehicles. But anyway, let's focus on the front here.
Eversley leading over Wilkins. Wilkins trying to see if he can close that gap a little bit to Eversley. Now it was at Coda. You saw both of those Hondas leading over the Honda, and it seemed like Eversley just didn't quite have the pace that the Hondas had at Coda, but they're a little evenly matched here.
Yeah, certainly that balance of performance. Everyone's trying to get their head around exactly how they stack up with the competition, but certainly when you look at it on paper, you would think that these two drivers, along with Michael Lewis, who's trying to make his way through the pack, having started at the very back, would be the championship favorites, but it's early days yet. And certainly a lot of these privateer efforts have put in strong opening rounds as well.
JT Kupal in 5th place, trying to see if he can run down Mason Felipe. He's closed that gap a little bit of the earlier recovery. Somebody just dropped a couple wheels off there in the background, but Kupal, that Bilstein sponsor machine, ran this car last season in Pirelli World Challenge competition, really, and this is his debut in PWC with these Audi RS3 LMS TCR. And Cal, with the first start of the race, you do have the tires up to a little bit of temperature, but locking of the brakes up like that, is that going to really affect it that much that early on?
Well, it could. It depends how big a flat spot he did actually achieve there. He's very early in the brake zone. I think that was just the experience kicking in there. Just jumped on the brakes without the tire temperature and locked up, and that probably caught him by surprise, and he had to regroup and lost several positions. But right now it looks like he's got back into a rhythm and is putting the pressure on Felipe for the 4th spot.
Jensen running in 7th in that Alpha Giulietta. Then you got Fosnot behind him, Anthony Gerasi, Jared Andretti, and Michael Lewis, who had to start shotgun in the field as he only was able to get one kind of warm-up lap, so to speak, at a 2:16 was his best lap time, really outside of the 107% rule. The officials know that Michael Lewis knows how to drive a car. He's a race winner already in this TCR category. No fault on him being out of that. They just waited too long on the strategy to get him out there.
Yeah, I bumped into Brian Herder right after that qualifying section, assuming there was a problem with Michael Lewis's car, and he said, no, we just got it wrong. Bad strategy in terms of getting caught in traffic and going out late, and the red flag just caught them by surprise. So with these short qualifying sections, you can't afford to play too many games, otherwise you can backfire on you, as it did for Michael Lewis this morning.
Well, Eric Powell able to get back around Brian Ortiz and Kenny Morello for that 2nd place. Tom O'Gorman pulled about, I believe, about a 4-second gap lead there as Ortiz drafting on the back of Powell coming down that straightaway. Can he make a move here at the end of the straightaway? He's looking left, looking back to the right. He actually got a chance to step into Jared Andretti's Volkswagen during that test session on Thursday. Did Brian Ortiz and set the fastest lap in that car. So we'll see if Brian sticks it out in this Mazda or not. I like to see him in a TCR car.
Yeah, he's certainly a very talented driver, and I watched him campaign with Boris Said as his co-driver a few years ago in similar machinery. But look at that Mazda really gets a good run through Hogpen now, starting to put the pressure on Powell here, our championship leader.
Yeah, watching both of these drivers drove for our family team back in the day as well. So Eric Powell and Brian Ortiz have actually been teammates on one of my cars. So it's pretty neat to see them still getting it done here at Pirelli World Challenge down in turn number 1 side by side. Of course, Eric Powell with that Tech Sport Racing team, 6 cars strong here this weekend. A lot of support for young Eric Powell. Shop CBD now on that car. Big supporter of that Subaru BRZ program, and it's really a step up for Subaru. A big contingency plan here for these cars, and you see, I think, 6 in the field here this weekend.
Yeah, it's a big adjustment for that team, because they ran as a Scion last year, I believe, so they made a number of adjustments, improving the rear wing and gearing and a number of changes to that car, but certainly came out the box really strong at Coda with a win, another podium runner, and the championship lead.
You can actually look at Brian Ortiz's passenger rear view, or side mirror there, and it's folded in. That's how close they got. There's no way to really push that back out again, so he has no view on the right side anymore.
He's got an excuse then. He's going to come under pressure.
And Travis Wache in that Volkswagen GTI just falling off from this lead group a little bit, as Spencer Patterson doing a good job in the top 5 too in his Subaru BRZ.
Eric there running a little bit wide as they set up for LIVESTREAM. One of the things he told me yesterday is that he thought the Mazdas may run their tyres off a little bit. Have to wait and see how that plays out as we now focus back on the TCR battle.
There's Anthony Gerasi, the number 69, HRD, the Heinlein Racing Development car, the European tile and stone and marble. He got 4 positions on that first lap. So good run for him, earning that Optima Battery Best Start of the Race award as he's battling with Martin Jensen for that 2nd position.
And in the meantime, Lewis is just gradually ticking off the numbers. He's now up inside the top 10, so being super patient here. Can't afford to take too many chances. Little lock up there as he goes through turn 4. Lewis really wide as his teammate now starts to put the pressure on Eversley for the lead.
Well, Eversley that last time by or not last time by, it was actually the previous lap, the fastest race lap at a 1:55.984, 0.4 of a second. The previous lap was Wilkins in that Hyundai i30. You can see Eversley, you see the damage there to that left and right front of that car as he buried it into the tire wall. They did have a couple of new fenders they were able to put on. They had to bang the hood back out, and it's got a lot of duct tape on it. Looks good from 50 feet.
Well, looked good on the grid sheet this morning, so that was a great recovery for Ryan to basically pull it out of the weeds. It looked like he wasn't going to get out of there in turn 1, but did so, and then immediately started to lay down some fast sectors and came up with that fast lap before the red flag. So whether Wilkins would have had something for him if the qualifying session had run its full distance, who can say? But right now it's going to be a fierce battle between these two very experienced drivers. Both of them have a lot of front-wheel drive experience as well, so that will certainly play into their hands a little bit, and that's exactly why their teams chose them to campaign this new class this year with that front-wheel drive experience.
Looks like the Hyundai might be just a little bit better in braking, but it's a little bit more power in Civic. It's just that great balance of which car is better and which segments of the course, as Mark Wilkins still not letting anything give away from Ryan Eversley in that Civic.
This is just great opportunity for both these drivers to really, as you see there, Wilkins tucks it to the inside. He gets a lot of grip. Eversley's tires may be starting to go away just a little bit. And that is the key, just being super patient, keeping those tires underneath you. Wilkins was able to tuck it to the inside there and had a bit of a run in terms of power down, exiting turn 2.
Now these cars, these TCR cars do have the aero, so they are reliant on with the front nose and grip. As you see Matthew Fosnot just having a little quick off there in his Morello Racing Audi.
Yeah, it looks like that was coming through turn 5 as you start the snake and the run up towards the S's possibly. Meanwhile, up front, this battle isn't going anyway, just separated by a couple of car lengths.
And you
right there, just coming off this corner, Ryan's car really accelerates nicely. It could just be the sweet spot with the gear ratio for him coming through there. But look at that, the front end, he just seems like he's washing wide a little bit compared to Wilkins, who's able to keep his car tucked in a little bit more.
Yeah, perhaps some better high-speed aero on the Civic, especially with the aero wash you get with the Hyundai behind him coming through that high-speed downhill to the left. It looks like there was an incident between Matthew Fosnot and Jared Andretti, so it looks like race control is reviewing that incident.
Lewis is now up to the 9th position with that little momentary off for Fosnot. Coming down through the roller coaster.
Yeah, watching this lead battle in our TCR overall, Ryan Eversley and Mark Wilkins. In our TCA battle, though, Tom O'Gorman sitting down some fast race laps. Only car so far in a 209, but it's this extremely tight battle for second with Eric Powell, Brian Ortiz, Kenny Murillo, and don't count out Spencer Patterson in the second of the Subaru BRZs from Tech Sport Racing. But Brian Ortiz, I don't think those cars have been that much further apart all race long, Cal.
No, this is a great battle. And Powell said that he hoped that his car would be a little bit longer on the longer runs, that the Mazdas may run their tires off a little bit with their short wheelbase. They transition really quick, but tend to overuse the tires a little bit. But right there, he seems to struggle to get that car turned into turn 11. Runs a little bit wider line through there, but he's got a lot of confidence under the brakes. So if he comes under attack, I think Eric Powell believes the Subaru BRZ is the car to have into the brake zone. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out as Ortiz has another good run of it.
Yeah, you can see Tom O'Gorman coming up to the top of the hill in his Civic SI. Prepped by Real Time here this season, and there is the gap back to Powell. Brian Ortiz looking to see maybe making the move or not. And I think, Cal, once those guys get side by side, Kenny Murillo might be in the catbird seat.
Yeah, he's a smart young driver, had a number of victories last year, and would love to get his first one of the year. But once they get through this battle, whoever it is gets to the front of the pack here, they've got to chase down O'Gorman, who's coming off that brilliant second round victory at Circuit of the Americas and comes into this race weekend with a lot of confidence, had the pole position, is just stroking away at the front of this field.
Oh, and Ryan
a run.
Ortiz just goes down to the inside, turns the wheel, worked the draft down the hill to perfection. Now let's see. I think Eric, talking to him earlier, said his car's a little bit better under braking. Can he carry it down here into turn number 1? And it was not Ortiz.
Oh, it was tight there, too tight. They got away with it, maybe. Powell just closed the door, and Murillo had already forced his car down to the inside. I'd put that one a little bit more on Eric's shoulders in terms of responsibility there. Hopefully they both survive without any damage. You could see that one setting up. Ortiz went through. Powell tries to set up, kind of coming back at him, but Murillo was already there as Eric turned in.
Yeah, I got to think that was just Eric Powell trying to get back behind Ortiz as quickly as possible, not wanting to lose anything, but Kenny was already there.
Yeah, and Patterson takes advantage as well. So our championship leader has lost a few positions in that little scuffle.
Yeah, he'll go back to the 5th and try to run through here. And, well, it will be Tom O'Gorman now. Brian Ortiz into 2nd. Kenny Murillo 3rd. Spencer Patterson 4th. And Eric Patterson Eric Powell into 5th as Adam Mirzon, the number 44, stepping into the first time he's driven front-wheel drive in Pirelli World Challenge competition in that Civic TCR. Ryan Eversley, his teammate now, they're actually teamed up in the Audi from K-Set Racing and Flying Lizard that you'll see in the Sprint X competition a little bit later. But Adam Mirzon getting accustomed to this front-wheel drive platform. Yeah,
and a lot of the drivers say it doesn't really, these TCR cars don't drive like a typical front-wheel drive car. It rotates really nicely, more like a rear-wheel drive car. But he said, it's my first time with the turbo, first time with the front-wheel drive. But he said, I'm loving it. He said, I love how this car works. He said, I'm learning a lot. Every session is important, and gradually getting on top of the machine.
He's got a lot to live up to as Nick Hassan drove that car at Circuit of the Americas. Looking at Michael Lewis, so the fastest race lap at a 1:55.861. We just got done talking about those two Civic TCRs, and it looks like Ryan Marine's caught up with the team principal at Real Time, Gino.
Hey, Jeff. I am here with the chairman of Real Time Racing, Peter Cunningham. Peter, you've had quite an eventful weekend. One of your drivers in qualifying had a situation, but seem to be doing well right now. Want to tell us a little about some strategies for the rest of the race?
The strategy is to try to stay in the lead, but that's going to be tough. Mark Wilkins is right on his tail, and I know Mark very well. He used to drive for Real Time, and he's a good driver and a really good person. So we'll see if Ryan can hold him off. If he does hold him off, it'll be probably through his experiential experience.
Of course, Gino Carini and Peter Cunningham, really good friends. A lot of history with those two. Actually went to grade school together, was it 70, 80 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was about 65 maybe, but even so, I think Petey trying to throw out Gino off the bus there a little bit. Pretty cool.
Well, Peter Cunningham did a lot of development work on the Acura NSX GT3 car the last few seasons, and really managing this real-time racing team. And talk about Honda and the support from Acura and a few cars and a few museums. And Peter Cunningham, you open the Pirelli World Challenge or even road racing record books, and you're going to see that name a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the man in Pirelli World Challenge competition. 89 is off for a ride there.
It looks like there's some smoke coming out of the back of
Jeff Sexton.
Yeah, Jeff Sexton unfortunately teamed up with Tech Sport Racing again, one of those 16 cars strong with Kevin Anderson, his wife Deborah Papalozzi, and the two husband-wife team. They got the son and daughter working there, fly-in crew members, all volunteer, helping out, prepping 6 different cars in 2 different classes here this weekend. And Jeff just has had just a couple of miserable 2 years, so to speak, here in Pirelli World Challenge competition. Ran a Mazda MX-5 at Canada last season, had a huge incident, switched over to BMW last season, and looks like Julie Gannett unfortunately had an incident with the wall there. Major damage to the left side of her Mazda MX-5 Cup car.
Yeah, Jenny has really been impressing this year with great pace. Spoke to Ian Lacey this morning. He said she's just doing a great job, but see there's some damage to the front end of the car. The side view mirrors got clipped as well. And in that last traffic exchange, Ryan Eversley had really gapped Mark Wilkins by a long ways. So he got the better exchange there as they ran through the Essence. Cars off everywhere right now.
Yeah, PJ Gronke there spinning in the number 25 Subaru BRZ. You can see where the skid marks are. And just got a little bit wide there coming onto the downhill, onto the straightaway. And good save from him. That could have been ugly.
It's a tough corner, Jeff. I know you've raced here, but when you come through that corner, you're looking down the road, but you've got to feel the edge of the road. It's off camber, falls away from you, and you kind of just feeling the edge of the road, and if you drop a wheel, it will bite you in a heartbeat. So a very difficult corners, a lot of challenging turns here at Virginia International Raceway.
Of course, PJ Gronke, longtime competitor that won the TCB championship, and really got to give a huge thank you so far to Pirelli World Challenge, because when he won the championship, if you move up a class or a category, you basically get your entry fees covered for the next year as a reward to help move you up in the ladder system. And PJ Gronke taking full advantage of that, moving into our TCA category, as did Tom O'Gorman last season when he won TCB a little bit earlier. He was able to move himself up into that TCA category in the Civica side last season, and now running this year, already has one race win at Circuit of the Americas, looking to see if he can make it 2 here, and 2 in a row as both of our leaders side by together now on the track.
Yeah, you can see the time delta between the two classes. Obviously the TCR quite a bit quicker, and see there the gap that Eversley has pulled on Wilkins. Another bad lap for Mark Wilkins there in traffic, so it's given Eversley a nice comfort zone at the front of this race.
Michael Lewis has now worked all the way up into 4th place in his Hyundai i30N TCR 155.861. Also holds that fastest race lap, so good recovery. He looks like he had a little bit left over in qualifying.
Yeah, I think he was being a bit too patient and caught him out, but that's the key. You just got to be patient. If you've got the pace, it allows you to strategize and come back through the field. He'd love to get back up there and certainly not lose too many points to his teammate Mark Wilkins, who leads this championship right now. So that fast lap would give him pole position for tomorrow and put him in the catbird's seat, so to speak. But right now, Wilkins 4.4 seconds behind Eversley. Daniel still holding down the 3rd position. A great run for that team this weekend. And
Jeremy Daniel working his way through this TCA lap traffic. Kenny Morello was side by side with Spencer Patterson. Spencer able to having to heat way as Jeremy Daniel coming through. He's going to slot that Audi on the outside of Brian Ortiz and Eric Powell. Eric's worked his way back up to 3rd now behind Brian. And Jeremy Daniel down to the inside. Eric Powell is going to be good for him to see. These are all about momentum on these TCA cars. If you get held up a little bit, you know, the traffic can give you a break, but the traffic can take it away really quick.
Yeah, it certainly can. And Jeremy Daniel, really impressive young man. Family run operation. Everyone plays their part, and new to this category, of course, but just really making a stunning impression here in the opening rounds of this championship. Based in Montreal, just 24 years of age.
He actually drives the rig out here to the tracks, not including having to race the car. Oh, just a great battle here with Brian Ortiz. He drops his couple wheels off there on that downhill. That's a scary hill coming down there. Off camber, really fast, hard braking zone here. You'll downshift once, then downshift again as you come through Oak Tree and back onto the straightaway.
This is exactly what Eric Powell forecast yesterday said, that maybe the Mars will start to use their tires a little bit. Maybe that's the case, or maybe it's just a slight mistake there by Ortiz, but either way, Powell will be looking to try and grab that position back before the checkered flags. We're just past the halfway point in this race.
You see Michael Lewis just getting around that lap traffic, as well as Eric Powell able to get around Ortiz. That was that momentum that he lost down the hill. Kenny Morello able to capitalize on that as well and get around him. He moves into 3rd, so good run for Kenny Morello. Bottom of the roller coaster turn, a slight right, another right-hand turn, and the fast line, like you said, Cal, right on the edge of that white line as Eric Powell protecting to the inside a little bit. Kenny Morello is going to have a little bit of a draft in a run here, try to make a move down here to turn number 1. These are the 2 cars that got together earlier. Now they're battling for that 2nd position now again.
Yes, it's not going to be easy. There's no easy pickings in this class. Certainly every position is hard fought. Ortiz there trying to follow Morello through as he gets the power down. Just doesn't look like Powell's car is hooked up like he'd like it to be here today, but he's hanging in there. Now he has the inside line for turn 3 as they hit the brakes. Can Ortiz slide to the inside as Morello probably gets pushed wide? He does. Morello's in the dirt. Sense that was going to happen as those 2 cars were fighting it out, and that really just opened up the door for Brian Ortiz to take advantage as Morello goes for a spin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Spencer Patterson got into him or he's got damage or a flat left rear. Actually, it looks like he had a flat tire down. And I got to believe driving through that dirt and over those big curbs there on the exit.
Well, he also got probably hit in that right-hand side. You could see that he was off in the toolies a little bit, and maybe there was contact between he and Powell on the left side of that car as they went through turn 3.
And JT Kupal and I believe that's Anthony Gerasi, Martin Jensen there in the Alpha, trying to work their way through these leaders in the TCA category. It's really tight. The TCA battling for second overall in their category. They don't want to give away anything.
Gerasi takes advantage there as JT tried to set up that lap traffic there, and opens up the door for Gerasi, who had a podium run going at Circuit of the Americas. Had it taken away for track limits, exceeding the final couple of corners there, and that gave the position back to Ryan Eversley for the podium run in race 2 at Circuit of the Americas. But he's certainly shown pace this year. Knows the car, ran a little bit last year, of course.
Martin Jensen trying to see if he can make a move on JT Kupal as Gerasi made that move, getting around him. He's going to move up into the 6th position now, as getting word that car 2-4 has pulled off on the track as well. Kenny Morello into a safe place, so good. Thank you for him to get off in a good location instead of having to cause a full course yellow. As you can see, Anthony Gerasi in that HRD Audi is going back to Michael Lewis, that number 98 Hyundai i30, still with that fastest race lap, holding strong. He did that a little bit earlier at the 155.861, still holding that fast lap, but 155.984 for Eversley.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I thought that maybe the tires had dropped off on everyone, but on this last lap, all of the fast guys in the field, Eversley, Wilkins, and Lewis for that matter, all ran lap times within 2 or 3 tenths. So who knows, that fast lap could still change before the checkered flag here this afternoon. But just brilliant performance here by the youngster here. Doesn't quite have the experience of his teammate Mark Wilkins, but certainly has tremendous pace. He's won in all forms of competition. Wherever he goes, he seems to be at the sharp end and has the ability to win. So this was just, I'm sure they spoke to him before the start and said, Michael, you just got to be patient here and just think about the big picture. Don't throw it all away and get too aggressive, and he's certainly showed that.
Jeremy Daniel in 3rd, Lewis in 4th, trying to see if he can make a move there. Looks to the inside, going to go back and tuck back in. See if he can get down to the braking zone. That's the inside for the little keep to the left, but then that puts you to the outside for this right-hand downhill, which is a harder braking and entering this area. As I'm not sure. Yeah, it's great to see. You can see the actual the brake rotors glowing on that Audi.
Yeah, this is pretty cool, and I think this is what we were kind of licking our chops about this year in terms of how these real kind of pro teams from Real Time and Brian Herder Autosport would compete against some of these privateer efforts. And even though Michael Lewis is coming through the pack from the back of the field qualifying position, great to see that Daniel's giving him a hard time in terms of getting that final podium spot.
Yeah, he's really putting his car where he needs to be. He's not blocking. He's allowed to push his car where he wants it. He did not move down that straightaway. As you see Michael Lewis trying everything he can do, left, right, inside, outside, trying to make a move, filling up the mirrors of Jeremy Daniel, and he's just nice, straight planted in his Audi.
There's a big difference between 3rd and 4th. When you can spray the champagne and be on the podium, that's a big day for Daniel, so he wants to try and make it happen.
Michael Lewis as well. Just what a great young man. Ran in the GT category, teamed with all the way back with Effort Racing with their Porsches, then ran with Preston Calvert's team with Phoenix Performance, and great to see he's taken a few races off, made some one-off starts last season, but great to see him back into a full-time deal, especially here with the new TCR class.
Yeah, and as we've seen in the past, when Michael is on form and finds a sweet spot, he is somewhat unbeatable. Swept the streets of St. Petersburg in a GT car a couple of years ago, and just a man very much in the spotlight in terms of one of the bright up-and-coming young stars in U.S. motorsport.
Wow, you saw that Audi RS3 LMS lift that inside tire there on the turn, and then gets up on the curb, 2 wheels as he exits Oak Tree, pushing as hard as he can to try to stay in front of Michael Lewis for that final podium spot.
He's being really smart in his positioning of the race car. He's not blocking, but he's just really making it difficult for Michael to make a charge and get the position, as time is now starting to run out for him. Just over 12 minutes on the board here of this 40-minute event.
Looks like 12 minutes to go here in the race, so about 3/4 of the way done.
Up front, the lead gap has been reduced down to just over 4 seconds as Wilkins ran. So the previous lap where the gap came down, Eversley and Wilkins ran very similar lap times on the last lap, so Wilkins is keeping the pressure on. If Eversley was to hit traffic, suddenly he'd have to not give up too much time, but 4 seconds is a nice buffer to have with this much time left on the clock.
There's that RS3 LMS of JT Kupel, the Bilstein. Compass Racing supporting that team now. 2 cars here that we'll see a little bit later with Paul Holton and Ray Mason driving. But talked to Carl Thompson and said he's just kind of a bright young man coming into this race. Not a lot of experience in the sedan cars, but making his debut in this platform. So really having a year of testing and development on this car. Did an Audi event at Circuit of the Americas, and he said it's really last year to this year because of the restrictions they put to fit those cars within TC. It's really hard to relate to what the car was last year compared to this year. It's like a whole different car count.
It is, and he also did a couple of endurance events, one in Dubai and one in Italy, I believe, with the TCR platform. So he's comfortable with it. He likes it. He really feels this is a great platform for him to learn the trade, but at just 17 years old, he's got a bright future ahead of him, and that qualifying run he had this morning was superb, and got caught out a little bit in the brake zone there, but he'll learn from that and recognize you just got to be thinking about everything, tire temperatures and everything when you grenade those brakes the first time down into turn 1. But that was a pressure cooker situation for him.
See Martin and Jensen in that Alfa Romeo Giulietta. Great looking car as we go back up front here with Ryan Eversley, the number 43 Civic TCR, based on that Civic Type R chassis. Cars built by Jas Auto Sports, and I believe Germany, I think, is where they are.
Big weekend for that whole group, winning the World Touring Car Championship with a 1-2 run in Hungary earlier today, and now leading right now as Wilkins keeping that pressure on. He's 4.5 seconds behind, but I don't think he's got enough pace to catch him. Key will be, can anyone dig deep and have enough left in their Pirelli P0s to lay down a fast lap and improve their grid spot for tomorrow? I think that'll be the main thing for Wilkins. Not worried about so much where Eversley is, but can I just breathe these tires a little bit? He's got a nice gap back to his teammate now as Michael Lewis in that 3rd position of about 16 seconds. So no pressure from behind. He can afford to cool off those tires and maybe last couple of laps see if he can dig deep and find some pace.
Some great shots there that you can really see the gap between 1st and 2nd place with Eversley and Wilkins 1st and 2nd. PJ Gronke once again in that Subaru BRZ, recovering from an earlier spin in the TCA category. They got around him cleanly.
You'd have to say with this BOP change since Circuit of the Americas has certainly brought the Honda into good shape compared to the Hyundai. Seemed like the Hyundai had a lot in hand at Circuit of the Americas, but Ryan was able to hang with them, but right now he certainly seems to have the pace here today.
Get word that the incident that we had earlier with Kenny Morello and Eric Powell, there's no further action required, so just racing incident there, racing room on the outside, the car got together, and unfortunately Kenny Morello got the worst of that. Eric Powell did drop back to as low as back as 5th, back up to 3rd, but he's only about 21 thousandths of a second behind Ortiz. They just went side by side, but he's looking at Mark Wilkins. We had the debut here in Pirelli World Challenge competition, I believe, with the Kia Optima program with Kinetic Motorsports. So with one Korean company to another, both in that front-wheel drive turbocharged platforms.
Wilkins just laid down his fastest lap of the race at 1:55.975, which is marginally quicker than Eversley's best, with Lewis with the fast laps. Right now, it'll be a Hyundai sweep at the front row right now. And Lewis just laid down his fastest sector as well in Sector 2. So it seems like the longevity and the run of the Hyundais is very strong in the late going here, with just eight and a bit minutes to go.
And Eric Powell was able to get around Ortiz. I thought they might have been side by side or had a lead going, as Eric Powell was only, like I said, at 21 thousandths of a second at the stripe, and he was able to get around Brian Ortiz. Tom O'Gorman still leading, has about an 8-second gap over this battle for second, as Ortiz looks down to the inside, a little kink here. Can he make it stick? Does not. He's going to slide back in behind Eric Powell.
Powell's done a really good job here, other than the little bump down in turn 1 where he didn't quite understand that Murillo had stuck his nose in there. He's driven a brilliant race. Certainly doesn't have the pace of Tom O'Gorman, but these are the sort of weekends where you just got to maximize what your car will give you, Jeff, and that's what a championship is all about.
It is, and Eric Powell looking to see if he can get that championship here this season, really focusing on that, as with Brian and Tom O'Gorman. Of course, Eric passed stunt driver over there at the Walt Disney World Lights, Camera, Action Motorsports Show.
Did that for 9 years, he told me, and now he works at the Porsche Driving Experience just in my neighborhood down in Atlanta near the airport. So busy boy, but he loved the Disney experience. He said we did that for 9 years. He said it was a multi-million-dollar program and lots of fun.
Yeah, gets to drive cars on 2 wheels, jumps cars, be on fire, drifting, spinning. I got a good chance to go behind the scenes, get to see the cars. It was pretty neat to sit in the director's chair during that all as well. So really appreciate it. Like I said, it was really cool to have Eric Powell and Brian Ortiz driving for us back in the day, and then seeing these 2 guys fighting for a battle here. It's neat to see. And Brian's not a tall guy. And you talk about Boris Said. I remember they actually had they had a box that Brian carried with him that was his announcing box. So whenever him and Boris had to be interviewed, Brian had to stand on the box. But you can see that damage there to Eric Powell's Subaru on that right front, where the earlier, as Calvin Fish would say, the famous argy-bargy took place between those 2 cars. As the car that Eric Powell is driving is owned by a track day driver. All the businesses you see there. And oh no, Mark Wilkins off to the right, second place, is parked on the track.
Wow, is that smoke coming out of the front end? I'm not sure if there's damage or whether he just pulled off out of harm's way, but this is not good news for our championship leader.
See if we can get a quick look at exactly what happened. I don't believe there's any damage. I think it was just kind of pulled off here. Here's Mark Wilkins.
He's slow. Turn 3 just pulls it off and in one of the safety zones. Major disappointment for that whole group.
Mark Wilkins just, man, what a superb job to be able to pull that car out of the way, knowing he needs to get it cleared as we go back to our battle for second. But wow, Mark Wilkins, but it makes it a more superb drive for Michael Lewis. He'll move into second place in the Hyundai.
Yeah, probably move into the championship lead as well.
First, the Bella Group on the side of Brian Ortiz's car shop, CBD now for Eric Powell, Tech Sport Racing.
Oh, look at this.
Look at Ortiz right on the back bumper of that Subaru. As you can see, Eric Powell already flashing the lights. The lap traffic in front of him does not want anything to get in the way of this battle.
Oh, and Brian Ortiz, fortunately, you could see that traffic there. Can he get down to the inside? Battle of the late breakers there, and the Mazda has certainly got the grip there, is able to hug the corner. I think Powell will be as surprised at the performance of these Mazdas here today in terms of their handling being so strong in the late going.
I think Powell was trying to see if he could get an over-under, but the grip of Ortiz able just to pull that back around and get in front and stay there. Now we'll see where Eric Powell is strong. He goes back to the inside, makes a quick look. Dive bomb there, side by side. Not the place you want to make a pass, but maybe just take Ortiz off his game a little bit and have to make an adjustment as Jared Andretti right behind him in that Dave Tilton Racing Copeland Motorsports Volkswagen wants to get by both of these guys as quick as possible.
Yeah, you got to be careful from Eric's position there, putting his nose into a position. Right there, he gets the run. Andretti opens up the door, and that was beautiful race craftsmanship right there. Eric Powell read that superbly well. Andretti opened up the door on Ortiz, and suddenly, with the run that Powell had, he filled it. That was superb.
4 minutes to go here in this race, so still about 2 more laps for these drivers as they come down here through Oak Tree. Eric Powell going to try to get that power down, get a good exit, kind of hit the bump a little bit there. Ortiz going to be able to tuck back behind that Subaru, try to get a draft. We've seen that Mazda strong, and they're starting to close in on O'Gorman a little bit. That gap is not very big anymore. That last time by, it's only 5.7 seconds. It was over 9.
O'Gorman's car has lost pace, or whether he's just stroking it to the finish here, but certainly these guys in hot pursuit as we want to gained over a second on that one lap alone.
Ryan Eversley has a 16-second gap now back to Michael Lewis, who was working his way, started 14th in the field and worked all the way up to second.
Powell's car there looked a little loose there as he went down through the roller coaster. He's hanging on there. I think the pressure is really on Powell because he recognized that O'Gorman's his maybe his toughest competitor for the championship, and he's leading, gaining points. He doesn't want to give any more up today than he has to.
We'll have to get a developing situation here. We'll look at the lap times here. Tom O'Gorman comes by the charts at a 2:09.1. He was quicker than Powell, so I'm not sure if O'Gorman had a problem that previous lap. As Brian Ortiz looking to the outside this time. Powell not going to let him make that move that he made last time. Protected the inside down there into turn number 1.
And I tell you what, O'Gorman is definitely backing up. Maybe he's just managing this perfectly, but that lap time is nearly 2 seconds off the pace of these guys who are chasing him, and that's a carrot right in front of him right now. Look at that. Powell can see O'Gorman backing up to him, and this is going to really add the incentive to keep the pressure on try and keep Ortiz behind him, but maybe this could be for the victory and not just hanging on to second place.
Yeah, this could be the battle for the overall lead here between Ortiz and Powell, depending on what's going on with Tom O'Gorman. A 2:12.0 versus a 2:10.5 for Powell, 1.5 seconds. As Brian Ortiz right on the back bumper of that Subaru through the S's. You got to just kind of trust that the guy in front of you is making the proper line through the S's, because you're not going to be able to see going up that uphill.
I know, you're literally driving by braille right there in terms of just trusting the person in front of you, just feeling your way through the corners. Not easy to do at those sort of speeds and with the elevation change and the curbs that you can't afford to hit too hard.
Oh, just about 10 car lengths now separates our leaders in our TCA category. As O'Gorman, unfortunately, something has gone amiss.
Yeah, he's
on
lost
his
like a
Civic
second and a
SI.
half in one sector alone there.
Should be, I just got word from race control, should be white flag this next time by. Brian Ortiz looking to the outside.
This next time by for our TCR leader, not these guys. So these guys have probably got 2 more laps to go.
Looking at number 95 Subaru BRC from Tech Sport Racing, the Bella Copeland Racing Mazda MX-5, this Global Cup car that Mazda has developed to be able to race all.
There is the white flag.
4 flag, and there goes, white flag for Ryan Eversley, our race leader. And here comes our leaders in our touring car A category. It will be O'Gorman.
He had straightaway speed, O'Gorman did, so there's not too much amiss. He may just be backing off that pace as this battle continues for second right now. Deep on the brakes. Powell just leans on him a little bit, doesn't open up the door. I believe that O'Gorman's tires may be just losing their edge right now, as there you see Lewis, lone Hyundai, left in this field right now, running in the second position with the fastest lap of this race.
And I love what
in front of these guys.
What Powell did there. He just protected that inside for Lewis not to go there and slide in between those 2 drivers. O'Gorman trying everything he can. Just those Pirelli P0 tires falling off a little bit as he's pushed that front wheel drive car a little too hard.
Wow.
And now we'll see. He gets
he's
shuffled
really
up a
wide
little bit.
there, trying to make room for Lewis, but this is going to allow Powell and Ortiz to really close up on him. This could be really tight by the time they get to the roller coaster, Jeff.
Yeah, we'll see if O'Gorman can hold off Eric Powell, as he's got a little bit of a breathing room now behind Ortiz. He doesn't have to really worry about Ortiz in the mirrors down here in the braking zone. Pick your point, get on that corner right, and see if you can get a good run down the backstretch where our overall leader, Ryan Eversley, is now.
Yeah, that's perfect for Powell there to maybe make a run at O'Gorman for the win.
Here goes Eversley in his Civic TCR, Real-Time Racing, Redline Oil, HPD, iBox Springs, Racer Magazine, just long-time supporters of this real-time racing team. And still seeing them come into this TCR category, 2 cars strong. They do have a 3rd car, so if you're watching now and wanting to come run some TCR categories, call up Milwaukee, Wisconsin with Real-Time Racing, because you too can be just like Ryan Eversley, getting the race win here today, Cal.
Yeah, brilliant victory for the Honda team. What a day for those guys. Real-Time Racing to the front. Ryan Eversley, first win of the championship season. And meanwhile, this looks like O'Gorman's going to hang on, Jeff.
Yeah, looks like he will be able to. Adam Mirzon in that Civic TCR, able to get around our 2nd and 3rd place in TCA, but just not quite enough laps for Eric Powell to run down Tom O'Gorman, and Tom O'Gorman able to hang on for his race win, 2nd of the season. Eric Powell in 2nd, and Brian Ortiz in 3rd in TCA, and they were that close, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Wow, that is managing it to perfection. If he had the tires going away that badly, I'm sure he'll learn a lot from today, maybe make some adjustments overnight, because that was a little bit too close for comfort there at the end of the day. But a brilliant 2nd consecutive victory in this championship season. Great stuff by Tom O'Gorman.
Got a lot of support here this season. Again, Grid Life helping him out. Kind of the, I don't call him the proprietor of Track 90 in America, but definitely the face for Track 90 in America, putting on over 150 events nationwide, different nights. You can bring your street car out on different tracks and run on even Virginia International Raceway, some of the great race facilities. Run your street car out at Track 9 in America. But huge celebration from Ryan Eversley. Just one of those guys that always has a smile on his face, and he does just a ton of charity work trying to end NF, neurofibrosis. So it's got a great charities he does. The Cupid underwear run that he does. I mean, just a great guy. So glad he's part of our paddock, and congratulations, getting his 1st win of the season.
Yeah, that's a big rebound. I mean, this morning when he was sitting in the weeds down there in turn one, I bet he wasn't thinking his day was going to turn out this way with a win and lead flag to flag for his first win of the season.
There's Anthony Gerasi in that Highland Racing Development European Marble Tile and Stone Audi RS3 LMS. Anthony Gerasi picking up our VP Fuel Hard Charger of the Race Award. 4 positions he got all race long. Also earned our Optima Battery Best Start of the Race Award. So picking up both of those awards was Anthony Gerasi. Good run from him, and he's definitely looking forward to the Lime Rock Park round as he home racetrack and got his first win in touring car competition in his Mazda MX-5.
Yeah, that's great. Another top 5, another solid run. And as I said, so close to a podium finish at Circuit of the Americas. Last couple of corners trying to keep that position from Ryan Eversley. Still was determined that he'd run afoul of the track limits there, which is so easy to do at Circuit of the Americas, but his day will come.
So quick look at some of the results for our TCR category. It is Ryan Eversley in his real-time racing Honda Civic TCR getting the win. Michael Lewis starting from 14th all the way up to 2nd place in his Hyundai Brian Herta Autosport i30N TCR in 2nd. Jeremy Daniel, great run for him, the racing company Audi RS3 LMS in 3rd. Mason Felipe in 4th, and Anthony Gerasi able to complete your top 5 in our TCR category. And great run from all of our competitors through our TCR category class. Okay. Well, let's get down to our race winners. Gino Carini down on pit lane with Ryan Eversley.
Ryan, give me 1 second, buddy. What a weekend. How'd it feel? Great job.
I'm so thankful for everybody at Honda HPD in real time. I'm dedicating this win to your mom and to Petey Cunningham's dad, who we lost unfortunately last week. It's a big family here in World Challenge. I'm proud to be a part of it. Go buy a Civic Type R. Just beat everybody. Unbelievable. Thank you.
Well, Ryan Eversley, like we said, all the charity work does, everything that he does, and of course Gino Carini, our thoughts and prayers with his family as well. Loss of his mother a little bit earlier on later this week. A good distraction for him to come down here on pit lane. Congratulations to Ryan Eversley, though, your race winner in our TCR category. Michael Lewis, just a superb drive, fastest race lap at a 1:55.861, able to get that fastest lap start from pole position tomorrow in his Hyundai. And got to see what happened, unfortunately, to his teammate Mark Wilkins in the second of those Honda i30s, led all race long in 2nd place for him. Jared Andretti able to finish in the 11th position. Matt Foston, after a little bit earlier problems, into 9th place. Celebrations continuing down on pit lane. Trying to see if Gino can catch up with our race winner Tom O'Gorman, whose tires are going off a little bit earlier, and had a late battle, great battle with Eric Powell, Brian Ortiz in our TCA categories. Amazing job, and you can see just the way that this track is set up here at Virginia International Raceway. So glad to be a part of this with Pirelli World Challenge TCR and TCA competition. See our crews down here getting the track cleared off. As busy times down on pit lane, kind of wrangle everybody around and in. Unfortunate for Jeff Sexton there. You see him behind that Nissan Titans emergency vehicle getting pulled away. Some of the great campers that are all out here watching the race series here this weekend. Well, if you're a fan of Pirelli World Challenge like us, make sure you follow along on Pirelli World Challenge Championships on our Facebook page. You can follow along at Twitter at WC Racing. Search for us on Instagram at Pirelli WC. Make sure you go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and download the brand new Pirelli World Challenge fan app. Live stream latest news and results and insides of the Pirelli World Challenge all in our brand new fan app. And for all things Pirelli World Challenge, make sure you follow along at world-challenge.com. Live stream replays, videos, all types of great stuff going on here at the Pirelli World Challenge. And one of the links you need to click on is that schedule link. See where the Pirelli World Challenge is going to be racing in your neighborhood. Get your tickets to come out and watch one of these great races here for the Pirelli World Challenge. So it looks like a hard charge of the race award tied between Anthony Gerasi and the number 69 Audi in the TCR category, but then you got to go to the number 79. Good job for Spencer Patterson, up 6 positions as well. So good stories to that. Trying to see if we can still get pit lane being so busy with all these cars. 27 strong in both of our categories in our TCR, TCA. Well, that's going to conclude our coverage here for our TCR and TCA. The stream's going to stay on, so if you're joining us here at world-challenge.com and watching the live coverage or on our fan app, make sure you stick around here. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back underway for the GTS class of Sprint X competition, race number 1 on the weekend for that category. Follow along here at world-challenge.com.